Hello, everybody, and welcome to lucky episode number 13. Everyone's here today, which is awesome. And before I begin, does anyone remember where we parked? Or does anyone want to catch Lyra up? Or should I do
Well,
that?
it's better when you do it, but I
Oh,
will
what does
say
that
we
mean?
did some very nice TED Talks.
I wouldn't survive a TED Talk because I'm actually absolutely terrified of public speaking. So this is like the closest I get to public speaking. Because I'm really just talking to you guys, and if anyone's watching, I'm not interfacing with them. So,
Fair
so,
enough.
so who's gonna TED Talk Lyra through this?
That will be you.
Damn it! All right. So, Lyra, what's the last thing you remember?
Um, there was weird mist, and then they ended up in that weird Victorian town that's totally not Barovia.
Okay,
Uh,
okay,
and
and
they yeah, it was their first foray into town.
okay, and you met Helvetica at the end, right?
Yes.
The
Yep,
large,
we met Hivada. I couldn't
awesome,
remember her name, but yeah.
perfect. Okay,
Uh,
well, that means you only missed one episode. So
yes,
during
I
that
believe so.
time, at the end of the episode that you were in, you had all gone to this small tavern that had no name outside, just a hanging mug, like the likeness
Right.
of a mug carved out of wood. And you'd
Correct.
gone in and sat down, and Dizzy tried to have some wine. The last of the wine, which was more like grape vinegar. So Dizzy got an ale with everyone else,
Right.
and Helvetica
Correct.
was talking to you all as far as where'd you come from, what's going on, and some guards had shown up outside, and one fairly well-to-do looking guard had walked in and confronted you all. Now Helvetica kind of moved to intercept this person, this fellow, and just like kind of dissuade him from believing that you guys had anything to do with some kind of witchcraft that had been going on. Something about dead fish popping up in the river shortly after you walked by. And there was something about how Twiggy is like one of your familiars and how witches have familiars. And so there's this general sense that these accusations are being leveled against you all, even though you've just arrived in town. And
Great.
I believe it was Lilith kind of scared them all away, except for the captain and one other. But the captain was like, "Well, now I'm outnumbered. I'm gonna go meet up with my troops, and we'll find you again some other time." At which point, Helvetica had mentioned that there's some weird things that have been going on around town even since the mists closed in, at which point you all found out that all of that you walked through, where there were the orchards and the gardens and all of that, is not accessible to them. Like, they can't leave the mists and go to that how you came in through the mists and went through it. So Helvetica explained that, like, the town has gone through like this really large famine, and a lot of people died. And
Hmm.
beyond that, she had mentioned some other weird things had been happening, but you all kind of got distracted. I don't think you delved into it too much, and because she was like, I'd love to explain it more to you, but I've got to get back to the school because the kids should be arriving. At which point, Lilith was like, we need to teach these children not to be assholes like the adults are. And
Great.
so
Lyra hates kids.
and so you all had gone to this old chapel that Helvetica has like re-renovated inside. Looks like it doesn't get much use. There are no symbols or anything, but inside there were some stained glass windows that had scenes that no one could really recognize or anything, as far as having anything to do with your own knowledge of history or religion. Um,
Fine.
and she'd gotten there and the kids were gone. She was kind of sad, and you were all trying to make her feel better when the children arrived. It seemed like they had, I believe, if I remember correctly, one of them had been running late, and they all come together, and so they had all shown up a little late. And she had a talk with them, and then you all had the chance to teach the children a lesson of some sort. And so I don't remember exactly what you all did. I know Lilith spoke against industrialization, I think, or something about like smog. And then Lyra, you ended up teaching them some self-defense, and it was it was fairly graphic to the way that Helvetica was a little comfortable kind of with your methods. I think the whole group was maybe a little uncomfortable with your methods as far as explaining.
That sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah. And so the kids left, and they're like pretending to stab each other and everything. And that's where we're picking up now, is they're heading out, and they're kind of all excited, and they're play fighting and stuff. And Lyra, you just feel so like you're watching some of their methods and their, the way they picked up things, and there's this little moment of pride in your heart, because you're just like, they're going to be great killers one day.
I mean, maybe that would make Lyra feel pride for children, but she does not enjoy children. So you know what?
It was more like your teaching that you feel pride in.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So Helvetica's just kind of watching them, and she shakes her head and like smiles. It's a little uncomfortable. She's like, that was great, Lyra. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure it might actually come in handy someday with, the random violence that happens in this town. Well, I want to thank you all for coming and helping me teach today. Do you have a place to stay for the evening?
No, we don't. We don't. We would love to get to know your town and have a rest.
Well, I mean, I have space here that you can sleep in. It's not the most comfortable, but it's safe.
What do you guys think? Should we stay here for the night just to rest and regroup?
It is a verbal contract. Did offer up the room. It's ours now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. She goes to a large wardrobe that's sitting in the corner and opens it up, and it's just kind of full of these not ratty sheets and blankets and stuff, but they're well used. Obviously, these are like hand-me-downs, or she's like gotten these. Some of them have dirt stains and stuff, so she's like picked them up off the streets and washed them. But she goes and lays them out on some of the pews that are on the edges of the building. You're welcome to sleep wherever. I usually use that one over there, and you can see there's already like a pile of blankets that have been folded up and are stacked there, but weren't in the wardrobe already.
Thank you.
Are any of you hungry? We could probably go down to one of the local taverns and get some fish.
What is that? Does that sound good, you guys? I'm okay with that.
Isn't there something wrong with the fish?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, isn't there something wrong with them?
These are fish that should have been caught before whatever happened this morning. But if you're worried about it, I think there's a couple of places that might have lamb if they've been slaughtered already. It might be a little early in the season. Usually our fare here is fish, unless it's some of the small areas that have space to raise animals have grown if they're large enough to slaughter.
Lyra looks unironically uncomfortable at the mention of whatever that conversation is. She's
right.
Like, great.
Oh, she did mention also to you in the last episode that after the mist moved in and sealed them off from the land around, and all of the people were starving, essentially the only vegetables or anything that isn't fish are grown or raised in the city in like little plots between buildings, or like on rooftops, or out of like windows and little things. So
Cool.
And with the lack of like sunshine from the smog, it's been very difficult to raise really good vegetables. So like vegetables are very expensive and crappy.
Right. Lyra's so excited.
Right. Fish is not very expensive as long as you like it bland and boiled. If it has anything to do with spices, herbs, other vegetables with it, the price gets exorbitant from there. So you all kind of had that explained to you last game. So you get the feeling as she's explaining this, if there's lamb, it's going to be expensive. And if you're not a meat eater, it's going to be expensive.
Great.
You do have rations. Just saying. You do have stuff with you.
Awesome. Well, I mean, maybe we should stay here. Or unless we want to find out more about the town and meet some more people, we can go out.
It's getting dark.
What do you
You
guys-
probably should stay in for the night. Tends to get. I mean, you look like you could take care of yourself. I'm just saying it tends to get a little more dangerous at night. There's been some killings recently, some murders that haven't been solved, and there isn't a curfew per se, but the guards are very edgy about people being out after night because they might be the killer, if that makes sense.
Sure. I feel like this town is full of a bunch of heathens
Judgmental.
on the path of darkness.
I mean,
Lyra's
there's-
actual vocals just get bleeped out after judgmental.
Beep, 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 beep. You sound like R2D2. The most foul-mouthed character ever.
You know he was saying some bad
Lilith
words.
is-
Right? They
Lilith
bleated out
is super
everything he said.
disgusting.
So... Oh, crap. Now I have derailed myself with R2D2. I apologize. What was I going to say? So, she explains that there's been the murders. And the heathen thing. She's like, well, those who tend the Church of Humanity can be a little zealous, but they're not bad people necessarily. Most everyone else
Well-
just goes about their own business, though. Are
Lilith
you
is
a
a little
worshiper
disgusted.
of the church?
I am a priestess.
Oh, you're a priestess of the church.
I am a priestess. Which was highly offensive when they called me a witch, because that's just laughable.
Understandable.
All
Understandable.
I can say is it seems like the work of evil is happening here, and I'm not a fan. I'm disgusted by it.
It's definitely been a trying time, at least as long as I've been here. For what it's worth, I went through much of what you're all going through now and just managed to convince everyone that even though I look different than them, that I'm, not a danger to them. In fact, I've been fairly helpful in teaching some of the children, to read and their arithmetic, and hopefully you'll be able to find a place here as well.
Gross.
Dizzy, you're awfully quiet over there. What are you thinking?
Not much really.
Okay. Is there anything that you would like to do this evening?
Maybe explore and ask people about this whole fish fiasco.
Okay. Like the dead fish that showed up?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And why people think that we are related to this incident.
Okay. And so remember that you are quite a ways away from the dock district and the river. Do you want to ask around in the area? So you're in what's called Blackchapel, the neighborhood, and then there was
Right.
the dock district and all that. Do you want to go back to the dock district and ask, or do you want to ask around here in Blackchapel?
Sure,
Around
yeah.
here.
Okay.
Okay.
So
We
that's
should also check up upstream as well, just to see if like there's poison coming from one of those industrial sites.
so the industrial sites are actually kind of downstream. They were further southeast from where you were.
Okay.
And then essentially you walked in from almost as upstream as you can get. And what you could see north of that was just a little bit of river and land on either side, and then it just disappears into the mist. So you've kind of already been there. You could go to the very edge of the mist, is the only place you haven't been as far as the river goes that could be bringing something down, unless it's in the mist. But from your current experience, you're not really sure if walking into the mist would help or not.
Well, let's go to the docks then.
Okay, so Dizzy wants to go ask around here. Lilith wants to go to the docks. Lyra, what are you thinking?
Lyra's thinking docks.
Okay.
She can get a better look at the water, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of her idea.
Actually, why don't we do a retcon? You could do a nature or a arcana check, since you weren't around when this was happening, and I can give you any information that might have popped in your brain during that event.
Okay. Nature or arcana. They're the same thing. I'm gonna go nature. Lyra's a little bit more.
Nice. So you're kind of like thinking about the nature of water and your own origin and just that connection that you tend to have with water.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely very strange that these fish just, up and died, especially after you just walked in. Like, the timing was unfortunate for you for sure. It wasn't a natural event. Lilith has been going on about the smog, the pollution. None of you have really been in such an industrial city as this, where there's like so much just grossness in the air. And as you thought about it, if that was going into the water and poisoning the fish, that could be possible. But why did it happen when essentially right after you went by? It seems more convenient that it happened than just coincidence. Almost like somebody was
waiting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
if that helps point you in any directions.
Yeah, Lyra is definitely thinking that she wants to go with Lilith to the docks to look at the water a little bit more, to see if there's like a source of where this is happening from.
Sure.
Right? Like if she can discern that.
Okay. And Twiggy, what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, if we're splitting up, I will go with Dizzy.
Okay.
Because one, the docks sound like they're probably loaded with seagulls, and two, it's better in numbers, better in pairs for sure.
Okay. Sounds good. Helvetica, she's kind of looking around at you all while you're talking, and she has a worried look on her face. She's like, well, I could go with, one of you. I obviously can't go with both groups, but if you feel like it would be safer for either of you, I'm happy to. I mean, we should be careful because obviously there's the guards, and we don't want to further their ill opinion of you. But if I can be of assistance, please let me know. Does anyone want Helvetica to go with them, or should she stay here?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, at the mention of, Helvetica coming with them, and also, not furthering, bad thoughts. Lyra doesn't look terribly pleased at the thought of being joined. So,
Sure.
But she doesn't say that outright.
Yeah.
Just in case.
I'm
Lilith
just
does
gonna
want.
do a quick check here, see if Eddie picks up on it. That is not what I wanted. That's her picture. I'm on the wrong page. There you are. Oh no, her sheet's blank. What happened?
Oh no!
Oh crap. All right, let's just do.
Could keep everybody together and then visit one location and then go to the other. We could do that.
You know, so she kind of like looks at you all and, you know, I have some work around here, just some fixer-ups that I wanted to do on the schoolhouse before tomorrow's lessons. Why don't, if you need anything, you know where I'll be, and when do you think you'll be back? Should I expect you by a certain time before I start worrying, or?
I think we can take care of ourselves.
Oh, okay. Well then, you're welcome back whenever. I'll leave the door unlocked.
That's how it's done.
That's how it's done. Okay. So the four of you head out, yeah?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Dizzy and Twiggy are gonna stay in this area and ask around, while Lilith and Lyra are heading to the docks, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, let's start with Twiggy. Roll a die for me, any die.
Any die?
Odd is going to be you and Dizzy. Even is going to be Lilith and Lyra. Even.
Yeah.
I want to die 9,000.
Well, it goes up to 9,000. It goes up to 9,000. You know, that's how it goes.
Perfect.
Should roll a
Oh,
D11.
is that a Celeste?
Is
It is a Celeste.
Oh.
Hi, baby.
Look at her little. Oh.
There is so much hair.
I'm so jealous of it too, because I have to like work so much to get my hair to stand up, and
And hers just.
naturally, right?
Oh man, D&D babies are the best.
Totally.
Give me your hair,
Hi.
baby.
She's
Give
so
me your
interested.
hair.
She's so interested today too.
Is.
We should be charging viewers extra for this. Oh wait, we don't charge them to begin with. All right, so Lilith and Lyra, you head out, and following the path that you went through to get here, it's pretty easy to find your way out. I think it was Lyra. You have like a ability that you remember the way you came, correct? Like you can't get lost or something like that. Perfect.
Lyra is just to make sure. Where is this?
I'm pretty sure you have that.
She has mercenary life. But so she can find taverns and fest halls.
Oh, nice.
Find missionary work between adventures. Expertise. No, she has ear for deceit and eye for detail.
Gotcha. What does eye
has.
for detail get you?
You can use a bonus action to make a perception check to spot a hidden creature or object, or to make an investigation check to uncover or decipher clues.
Okay, cool. Good to know. And you have advantage on your perception because of your dagger, correct?
Correct.
And that makes your
Passive
passive
perception, I think we have 18?
Perfect.
Because my
perfect.
passive is 13 usually. So.
Perfect.
Yes.
All right, so as the two of you are heading through the city streets and everything, it is getting darker. Not quite nighttime yet, but especially with the smog and the clouds overhead, it's hard to tell exactly what time. It's just getting, shades darker as you're progressing, and these lamps light themselves as you go along. And it's just kind of giving this brighter sense to the street, but almost a darker sense to the sky as they light up. And pretty soon the sky is just a black veil. You don't see stars or anything like that. And even the buildings that are taller than, 1 or 2 stories, just kind of, it's like, they're almost like in a sea of ink or something above you. Hello, kitty.
Hi, baby.
We've got babies, we've got kitties.
It wants nothing to do with this.
It is distraction day on D&D.
Yes.
Competing cute
Bye.
things.
Right?
Look at them. Look at them compete. Oh wait. Oh look, she's got
All right, where's
bright
Finnegan?
eyes.
Where's Finnegan?
Where's Marshmallow? Wait,
Right.
where's
Over there.
everybody?
He's over there being really unhappy with me because I ate the bulk of the chicken, even though he got chicken and a full bowl of food and everybody else's food at lunch and a bowl of food in the morning. You were a fat dog, sir.
Oh, here comes another. Oh, I thought Dizzy was going to get his cat.
Oh, I thought Marshmallow was coming
All
our way.
right.
Yeah.
It's Marcelo, is that it?
She's just sitting over there.
Gotcha.
She doesn't want to come over.
She's like, no, thank you.
We are totally having distraction day. I'm sorry.
We are. Sorry, viewers.
I just want to. No. I want to go get my dog and just be like. She
Well,
doesn't
now
like
my
being on
cat
camera
has-
though.
decided that the bookcase next to me is her home, and
Nice.
she's gone.
Nice. So, Lyra, as you're walking along, you definitely catch people, glancing at you and everything. Not so much as the people in the docks district were kind of glaring at you, and the guards were kind of like staring at your wantonly exposed skin of your stomach. There was definitely that like weird judgment before, and there's some people that are looking at you. You kind of notice them, but no one seems to really care that much. Every so often, though, you do feel like there are eyes upon you that are just being a little more. What's the word I want to use here? You get the feeling that you're being followed. Every so often, you catch somebody behind you that you're like, did I see them before? But you're not 100% sure. Like, there's enough details that you're just not quite catching.
She's definitely gonna next time she doesn't feel that way, because usually when you're being like it's like an on off type of you know what I mean. In one of those off moments, she's gonna kind of wordlessly kind of nudge Lilith in the hip, because Lilith is much I think 2.5 feet taller than she is.
Right.
And just kind of mouthlessly just nudge her, and then keep looking forward of you know how when you're with friends with somebody don't look now, but
Right.
you know.
And Lois is like,
yeah.
where?
Yeah, but so she's essentially just gonna kind of very quietly be like, we're being followed, that's it, but kind of tell Lilith to keep her attention up as well, and then Lyra's gonna be a little bit more on top of her surroundings as they're getting there.
Okay. So as you're doing this, you're kind of entering this intersection that's fairly well lit. There is a larger tavern than the one you were in earlier. It's called the Silverfish, and you can smell what smells like. As far as I can't remember what Lyra's chosen cuisine is, but the smells coming out of there aren't quite so dirty and gross as the last place you were at. The other one had this just kind of well soaked in dockside tavern stench to it. We'll go with that. It just wasn't going to get any better than that. And this one actually smells pretty good. You smell some food scents wafting out at you, and every other business around that seems to be closed. And as you glance back, you notice a redheaded fellow. He's got some like curly hair and like a thick beard and mustache. He seems familiar. Like, you're pretty sure you saw at least someone that looked like him only, a couple blocks back. And you just kind of like glance behind you, not like looking, but, at the corner of your eye, and you see... Yeah, and you see them like walking about half a block behind you. And they, just kind of look down, and they're like checking their pockets.
Yeah, Lyra's gonna stop.
Okay.
And what you know what? She's not gonna stop they're just passing this like food place, so she's gonna slow.
Okay.
And kind of like make it look like she's like interested in whatever's happening in the establishment, and see if like they slow too a little bit.
Okay.
Go
ahead and make a perception check. Again, you have advantage.
Okay. I think I have to roll twice, because I think if you try to roll with advantage through beyond 20, it doesn't actually push it.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
I'll just roll twice.
Sounds good. Got a 15 and a 4.
Ooh.
We'll go with that 15.
Yeah.
So you stopped, and you're more actively trying to gauge what this fellow's doing, and you see him out of your peripheral, and every so often you kind of flick your eye that way, and he stops, and it looks like he's like rooting in his pockets for something, and then he pulls out what looks like a metal ring with some keys attached to it, and he looks up and he looks around, and then he walks a little bit further and goes up to a door that's like in a nook. And so, like, you can only see, like, his very backside as he's in the nook. And then you see the door open, and he goes inside.
I know Lilith had to, Lilith Skeleton is coming with Lyra right now. So Lyra's just gonna kind of, like, nudge Lilith a little bit again, and while she would like food... she's gonna kind of see where that guy went. Like, okay. What the heck was that?
Sure. So you want to go back and look into that area?
Yeah.
So you head back, and there's like the nook where the door is. Like, there's a set of stairs that go up, stone stairs, and then like a couple of wood carved out like pillars, and the door is there, and there's no light, but you don't see anyone in there with your dark vision. Like, the door is shut.
The door is shut?
The door is shut.
She's gonna knock on it.
Okay. You knock on the door, and you notice that, like, as you walk up the stairs, a light begins to, like, it doesn't turn on because it isn't electric, but there's like this soft illuminates, and you knock on the door, and you hear footsteps come to the door, and it opens, and that fellow is standing there, and yes, may I help you?
Hi, sorry to bother you. And Lyra's just like, hey. I'm trying to find my way to the docks, and I thought I had somebody around who could help. Because in her head she's like, I'm being followed. She's like, have you seen anybody, like, could you help?
Can I help you? Oh, yes. Just take this road, go that way, like 3 blocks. It should go straight through, but it doesn't. So you're gonna have to like take a left or right, doesn't matter. Go like 2 blocks either direction, and then go, east again, and you'll hit the docks. Pretty straightforward.
Can Lyra, like, see over his shoulder?
With your dark vision, you can. Otherwise, it's there's like a little bit of illumination coming from the room that has the light source in it, and there's a hallway behind him, but it's in darkness. But with your dark vision, you can make out like details. There's a staircase off to the left, and there's like a small like entry table. I can't think of what they're called. Like, what'd you throw your keys on?
Right.
That has like some pictures sitting on it. Make a perception check.
Okay. 1, 2. Where's the second one? Come on. Oh my god, keep going.
Oh, woo, ew.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're kind of trying to nonchalantly peer around him. That's what you see.
Lyra doesn't like it. She's just gonna say, okay, thanks. And she's gonna leave, but she's gonna kind of like stash him away in the back of her brain. She doesn't like being she doesn't like that feeling over her shoulder thing, and she can't shake it.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay.
Well, this has
thanks.
been. Yep. Good night. Be safe. Shuts the door. While this has been going on, Lilith, what have you been doing?
So I've been looking around, and do I notice if there's any other people that are trying to follow us?
Go ahead and make a perception check. There's some people that are moving down the street. The crowd is definitely thinning out as the sun sets. You don't notice anyone that you recognize from many streets ago. Like, there's a couple people that you've been walking with, but they continue on. They don't seem to be following you or giving you any weird looks. Every so often, Lyra would get a couple of weird looks because of her outfit, but it's not that you become used to it, but you understand why they're looking at her that way, as opposed to
So if there's any little like condensed groups of people that are looking at Lyra rudely, I want to use my Thume and like knock over a trash can or close a door right behind them or right next to them.
Gotcha.
Just to kind of mess with them, because they shouldn't be so.
Yeah, there's a couple that are dressed very well to do, and like both of them are just like glaring at Lyra and her outfit, and like obviously if it rains they're gonna drown because they're just so snooty and their nose is just so up in the air about it. And you look over and there's like they're next to this 3-story building that looks like maybe apartments or something, and you notice that each apartment has like a little sack hanging outside the window, and you're like, I wonder what's in that, and you just kind of flip it and garbage goes out the window. And they look up, they're like, there's people down here.
Yes.
And they continue on.
Yeah.
So Lyra, you stash his image away in your head to keep aware in case he shows back up. And while you two head on, Twiggy and Dizzy. So you start off, you're outside the chapel / classroom. Where would you like to go?
Is there any place that looks particularly inviting, or?
So Blackchapel is pretty much all fairly uniform, cookie cutter built houses very close together, or are like multiplexes of like kind of condos that are just built into a building. Everything's very drab, very gray, very claustrophobic as you're kind of like heading through. The street that Helvetica led you in seems like kind of a main street and is a little wider, whereas the side streets and everything are much closer together. They're almost more like alleyways that you would expect in a place like Waterdeep, whereas these are like They're full-on roads. What are you looking for exact, or more specifically?
Just, I guess, is there a place that looks, I guess, like a place that a scholarly person would stay, or?
Gotcha. So kind of like an inn, or a building that would be more of a higher place in society?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you make an investigation check? And you have dark vision, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So as you're walking through, a lot of this looks like there are some shops, there are a couple of taverns, but they're very small. You do find an inn, although you're not really sure that someone scholarly would stay there. This area is much more like where the workers live as opposed to where the nobles live. And so if you're looking for somebody that's maybe a little more well-to-do or that has done research, you don't see anything in this area that you're in the area that you've walked through so far.
Okay. What do you think, Twiggy?
Well, nobles understand the rights. I mean, that's why they're nobles, and that's why they're fit to lead, because they understand the rights. I mean, why they haven't come to greet us yet is beyond me. I mean, unless they're preparing the triple-tiered cake of welcome, which I assume is happening because they haven't shown up yet.
They didn't seem very welcoming, like, just the general populace didn't. So I don't think that is what's going on.
No. They made the choice. They're cursed. We'll see what the nobles have to say about, the stuff. But, I mean, maybe we should go find out. Maybe they don't know where we are, and they have the cake prepared, and they just don't know how to get it to us.
And Dizzy, you noticed as you've been walking through the city, there was the dock district, there was like the kind of industrial area that was obvious because of the smoke pouring out of it, but Helvetica had kind of explained some of the stuff that goes on over there. And then there's a walled area. And you can see the walled area from like some of the streets, but a lot of times the buildings press in so close you can't. But you've definitely noticed that in the times that you've seen it, that there are some taller buildings that look a little nicer. I want to say they still have like kind of a rundown look to them, but you're pretty sure that walled area is the nice area of the city.
Okay. Let's head over that way. Let's try to see if we can get to that area.
Okay. How do you want to ask around? Do you want to just kind of like walk the streets until you find it? What's your plan?
Just kind of walk the streets until we find it.
Sure. Why don't you both? You can either both make a survival check, or one of you can help the other to roll advantage.
I'll actually give aid to Dizzy,
Okay.
so I can periodically pop up
Sure.
and do a quick, look around, over the buildings, get a feel for what's around, what's ahead, to get back down before I get attacked by seagulls.
Perfect.
So you said survival?
Survival, yeah. So you're like doing trying to discern what direction you're going and stuff like that through this maze. Perfect. So with Twiggy's help, popping up and every so often, you're able to find not only the wall easier, but a gate through the wall. And you head in that direction. Again, this area of town that you're in right now, Blackchapel, it's mostly just housing. There are some businesses that are closed. The people don't seem to pay Dizzy much mind, but several times, especially when Twiggy flies up and comes back down, people are just like, "What is that?" And some are like, "Oh my gosh, a bird!" And they seem very excited that there's a bird, especially when it's so brightly colored. And others are like, "Demon! Ah!" and they run away. So there's definitely this like sense of maybe superstition amongst some of the people, and the others are just very glad to see something that isn't gray or smeared in soot or or that, you know, is a sign of nature in general, is kind of the feeling you get. And you come out onto this fairly wide walk, like Broadway, and it's a little bit larger than the road that Helvetica led you into Blackchapel on, but it heads up to the wall, and you can see a gate that is closed, and you see a small guardhouse next to it, as well as a couple of guards that are standing outside of the guardhouse on either side of the gate.
So should we approach these guards, or should we just try to find a way in that is inconspicuous?
Well, I mean, that's the way in, and I mean, clearly they should know who we are, and obviously you should understand that hospitality is kind of expected, or you're cursed.
Okay, well, I will let you talk to them.
Excellent. I mean, it's always important to make sure that you test to see whether or not they understand what the rights are, because if, you know, they don't, clearly someone's been doing something wrong. I mean, these have been around for, like, since before these guys were even, like, created. Am I right? Am I right? Huh? No? No one? No one? Just me?
So, Dizzy, are you going to follow Twiggy up, or are you going to walk with Twiggy flapping along?
I'll go with Twiggy.
Okay. I didn't know if you were, like, letting him go up on his own, and you're just like, let's see what happens. Okay, so the two of you approach, and you see the guards notice you and stand more at attention. They're wearing very similar outfits to what you saw the guards down at the docks wear, except for they're wearing, they would be bright red coats in the same style, except for they're just not faded, but more darkened by wear in this environment. Their shoulders are like a little darker, probably from soot falling on them. It looks like they have to stand out here for long hours at a time in this grossness. What do you say?
Oh, I am but a weary traveler who has gone such a long way and have been out in the cold, and I'm very cold now and have not had a lobster roll in a long time.
Dizzy, you notice as Twiggy's talking that both of their eyes go wide as Twiggy begins talking, and they're looking at each other without moving as much as possible, and finally one of them is like, there's an inn right down the road that way.
Oh, but it looks so much warmer across that gate over there. Surely
it's not.
It's not?
It's not.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a warm fire in the hearth in that building back there.
I'm sure there is. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Twiggy, make a perception check.
Perception. So perceiving.
So as you're like hovering there talking and, you know, pointing out that there's probably, you know, fire back there, it's warm and everything, and they're just kind of like looking at you with very curious expressions, but also one of them's a little fearful. And Dizzy, you notice as two other guards like step out of the guardhouse and like look over. They seem very surprised that there is a floating, talking, winged fox person that's about this big.
So, oh, my feet are so sore. I don't even know where I can get my shoes repaired. Perhaps someone beyond this gate understands the secrets of shoes.
Is this yours? As they look to Dizzy.
My what?
You're familiar.
No, it's my friend.
Oh, your friend doesn't have any shoes. But if
That's why they need to be repaired. They're
there's a cobbler. It's a little bit of a walk, but there's a cobbler closer to Blackchapel.
Why are you so insistent on not letting us in?
Oh, we can't open the gates after dark. Sorry.
Why not?
Royal decree? It's the law.
Yeah, it's a law. Law's older than your law.
I don't know what that means. So if you'd be on your way now, that would be great.
All right, listen here. Where's my cake?
I don't understand what you mean. What does he mean?
What he means is if you don't let us in, he will destroy you.
I mean, we can't let you in, but please don't destroy me. And the other one who isn't as, the other one who's just like, huh, is kind of like glaring at his fellow guard. And he looks up and he sees the other two and waves them over. And they come looking over, and they definitely seem to be like, what is that? But they're both holding their hands on their swords. And the one who isn't terrified of Twiggy just kind of steps forward. He's like, look, we cannot open the doors. Our jobs and our lives are not worth anything that you need. But if you would gladly head down towards the inn that we've discussed, and tomorrow the cobbler will be open for you to repair your shoes.
I understand the meaning of your riddle. I see that this is going to be a great amount of fun. You see, you cannot open the doors. We understand this now.
I'm glad that you understand.
Yep, excuse me. I'm going to go open the door myself.
Good luck with that.
I mean, that's what you said. You cannot open the doors, which means that I can open the door.
The scared one is like, and the other one's like, no, let him try. It's okay. So you flutter up to the door. Mm-hmm. It doesn't appear to have any handles. It's flat wood on this side.
Open the door.
Okay, tell me how.
Push on it.
It doesn't give.
Pull on it.
What would you pull it with?
That's a good question. Well, pull out my flint and steel, burn it down.
As you start sparking at it, Dizzy, what are you doing?
I'm just gonna watch for now.
Okay. The one who was not afraid but was of the two main front guards goes over and he pulls out. There were like these poles with like. Now that he pulls it out, you can realize they had like flags dangling on them, but there was no wind to really make them do anything. And he walks over and he's about 10 feet away from Twiggy, and he just starts like trying to scoop him away from the door. Like one would like a spider or maybe some kind of moth or something. All right, you've had your try. Come back tomorrow when the gate is open.
I mean, I can't fault you. This is a good riddle, but be wary. You'll be cursed for 7 generations.
The three of the ones that aren't afraid of Twiggy look at each other. and just kind of roll their eyes. I don't know if you've noticed, but this whole town is already cursed, and has been.
Preemptively.
Be gone.
I don't know. Do we like stab him in the shins now, or like what do we do? Do we wait for the curse to like really double down?
I mean, if you think we can handle them, then we can just knock them out and then
They're
go
not
through the
seagulls.
gate ourselves. But
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it just seems like a lot of work for what clearly should be. You know, I mean, I can't say it, but you know what I mean. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
we could always just get the others and then come back with more.
Mm. Oh
Bless
yeah, that's a good idea.
Bless you.
You know, the other way around a door is over a door.
Yeah, that is true. We could try going over. You could probably fly over the door, actually,
Mm. Mm. Mm.
There's no
and then
gap.
maybe open the gate from the other side.
Yeah.
There's no gap over the gate, but I mean, you could fly over the wall.
It's risky. It's really risky. But I'll do it. We can open the door from the other side. That's the answer to the riddle. Just gonna go up. I'm gonna do it.
The one with the banner looks at, like, he sighs as he watches you flap up, and then he looks at Dizzy, and then he looks at his compatriots, and just kind of waves his hand, and one of them runs back, and you hear a bell start ringing inside the guardhouse. While that's happening, Lyra, Lilith, what are you two doing?
Oh man. Well, I mean, we haven't really come across anything handy. I guess we're still trying to find the dock.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sure. Lyra, make a perception check. This one's
Great.
going to be straight and not an advantage for
Okay.
reasons.
Reasons. Okay. Great. Thanks.
Okay. So you keep your eye out to make sure that fellow isn't following you. You don't see him. And as you head down towards the docks, like, you definitely get that smell of fish and water, not necessarily seawater. You're not really, it's kind of
Low tide.
it's not the most refreshing, as opposed to like when you show up and you're just like, oh yay, water. This is definitely more like
It's like a low tide type of smell.
Yeah, like constantly. And
Oddly enough, that's one of my favorite smells in the world. Don't judge.
that's fair.
I grew up by the ocean.
As you walk out, you notice that there aren't any, like, you walk out onto that boardwalk, and there aren't many people fishing like there were earlier. You do see a couple of lamps lit that are hanging off the sides of those fisher docks, as people are, a handful of people that you can see are night fishing. But for the most part, all of the businesses are closed up, except for, you can see a couple of what look like taverns. You're further down than where you went into the district beyond the dock, and so you don't see the mug hanging. So you're not next to that tavern. You just see a couple others where people are hanging out outside, drinking from their mugs, and a couple of people walking up and down the boardwalk, but not really anyone that seemed to be out for fun. More like these
Does
people.
Lyra still feel like they're being followed?
Not really. I want to say you're more aware, and so like you're very like on edge about it, but you don't get that feeling. What do you two do?
I mean, I think Lyra would just try to continue to the docks themselves. Like, She knows that guy said it was like kind of hard, and it's pretty straightforward. She's gonna try to follow his directions as best she can.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you're at the docks now, and it's essentially
Oh,
like
okay.
you're at the river now. You're not down at the where the river empties out, and essentially there's like the stone quay that goes up against the river, and then there are these wood docks that are built out and above so that the fishermen can stand up on them and fish without being on the boardwalk and like essentially being in the way. So they're and the handful of people that you can see fishing are spread out amongst these docks, like one per every third dock or so. Looks like they don't really do much night fishing.
Okay, Lyra's gonna go like stay on the boardwalk and get like close to the water as possible.
Okay.
Without like, even if she has to like lay down on the wood, like she's not gonna touch it, but she's no care, right? It's just very like looking at it like, and she's trying to see the fish to see like if the water like, she pretty much is trying to see if there's something actively wrong with the water in general, or if it was like an isolated incident, or if like the fish are weird, if she can see any.
Okay.
Yeah, she's like she's laying down and she's getting close to be like, what's happening?
So with this one, you could go ahead and do your normal perception. And while you're rolling that, Lilith, what are you doing?
Well, she's checking out the water. I want to still be looking around to see if I can find anyone that's taking too much notice in us.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and make a perception as well. And while you're doing that, Lyra, you're looking down, and because the sun isn't up and there isn't like glare on the water or whatever, you're essentially just looking down through water that's dark, and so your dark vision is very easily picking up what's below. And you see, I mean, there's not a ton of fish, but you see fish like swim by. They seem normal. The water smells pretty normal. As you're looking around, the kind of stench that has gotten worse as it's been going along is more like fish heads and stuff from the fishers that are like removing them and like chucking them into buckets. Every so often you'll see like crustacean shells and such. It's more like stuff that's been left to rot in these buckets, and every so often you do notice somebody go out and like chuck a bucket into the water, and it's like these fish heads and stuff. So you don't get the feeling that would poison the water. It's just
Right. Yeah.
Stuff that would already be in the water if a fish died there and was eaten by another fish.
Right.
You do notice there are some drain ports that are dumping out less than pleasant smelling things. It has more of the they're not like every 5 feet, but you are close enough one to get kind of a latrine smell from it. So there's definitely some sewer water coming out here, but it doesn't look like nearly as much that should dump out as the size of this city. And you still don't feel like that would be enough to poison the water.
Yeah, she's like, I don't think so. Okay. She's like, okay. What does she have? You can go to Lilith. She's gonna look through her bag for a minute.
While you're looking through your bag, Lilith, you look back the way you came, and you're looking for that fellow that was following you, and you don't see him. And there's a moment that your eyes rest on somebody that you're like, oh, there he is. But then you realize that this fellow has like no beard. He's clean shaven. He has like short brown hair. He's wearing like some spectacles. He just happens to be wearing clothing that's very much similar to what the other guy that you saw was wearing. And he's just kind of like leaning against like a lamppost outside of a tavern. Looks like he's whittling something in his hand, like he's carving something. You can see bits of wood fly off into the street as he's carving. So you almost think that you see him, the guy that was following you earlier, but you don't.
Do I feel comfortable with his presence, or do I get any kind of sense of like uneasiness at all?
For that one, let's do an insight check.
Mila has joined us again.
Hello, kitty. She's like, I want to be on camera, but not like that close to the camera.
I'm not ready for my close-up,
Right.
Bill.
So as you're kind of like keeping an eye on this fellow, there's definitely a way that like a non-relaxedness to the way he's standing. Like if he was just standing there chillaxing, carving something, he wouldn't seem quite so tense. There's a tension to him.
I want to take note of that and not necessarily draw attention to myself. I'm going to kind of like offhandedly look away, but with my Thume, again, I'm going to kind of open and close the door really, really fast by him, kind of like an unsettling, freaky kind of way to just maybe see how jumpy he really is.
As you do, he kind of steps forward and looks around. He actually dropped the knife he was working with, and he like, and starts looking for it, picks it up, looks around, and he's just like very confused as to where that noise came from because there's no one there.
He's just losing his mind. And then Lilith is going to go down and investigate the water as well.
Okay.
She wants to go look as close as she can to the water and see what Lyra's seen and kind of discuss.
So Lyra definitely, she dug through her bag, realized she didn't have what she wanted. So she's going to, I mean, some boardwalk, it depends on like what kind of height this boardwalk is. Like if she were to, I mean, she's on her stomach, she's to reach her hand down, could she touch the water?
Your hand would be partially submerged, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So she's gonna like, you know how like if you're testing water in a pot to see if it's hot, you kind of like stick the tip of your finger in it?
Okay.
Right.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna kind of do that because she is, she's just gonna do that and like, slowly, see if something's wrong with the water itself.
Gotcha.
Like,
it's very cold, like not freezing, but it's very cold. And other than that, you don't really like. It's not sludgy. It's watery. Yeah, you don't notice anything weird about it.
Okay, she's gonna take her water skin then, and take some of that water.
Okay. It fills up fine.
Okay, cool, great.
Lilith, what were you saying?
Well, I was gonna do the same thing, but she's got this.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, you take out your water skin and you look over it just as she's like filling hers up, and you're like, oh, okay. Lilith, you notice like it's so you don't typically have your dark vision, and it's been long enough that your thing is off. But in the lamplight, you can see that there's like kind of a green moss that grows up the side of the quay, like the stone quay that Lyra's kind of hanging off right now. It doesn't really go all the way to the top, but like with the light, you can see that there's that. Not weird. It's pretty normal. You also every so often kind of get that like latrine smell as something like pours out at the nearby sewer and emptying spot. And other than that, I don't think there's really anything else that you notice that Lyra hasn't already noticed.
Lilith is imagining putting like a rock in the spout of where the latrine the garbage is coming out, and she's looking around. Is there anything that could easily be just kind of placed in there to plug it up at all?
You don't see anything like that. Like the street is kept fairly free of debris and stuff. Like mostly the things you see are like the buckets where the fish heads are kept, which seems too small for the opening. Yeah, that would be difficult.
She's gonna remember this.
Okay.
and continue to look around to see if
Lyra's
there's
gonna.
leg
You
up.
said there's like fishermen every like few posts.
Yeah.
Right, kind of. Lyra's gonna go up to like the closest one.
Okay.
And kind of go up and. Oh my goodness! Sorry, it just started raining so loud here.
No. Hooray for rain, though.
Yeah, it's thundering and raining. Okay, that came out of nowhere. She's gonna go up and kind of, not like startle, like she makes sure that like they can see her coming,
Mhm.
right? Take a look in their bucket, right? Because usually they have fisherman bucket, like cooler bucket, whatever they use, right? That they're catching stuff. And if they have fish in it, she's going to offer like 50 copper per fish, and if that, or like she's like, because like Vetty made it seem like fish was kind of cheap.
Yeah.
So maybe she could just like buy one of these fish off these people because she probably can't catch one herself.
Gotcha.
So yeah, she's gonna offer to like buy one of the fish.
Okay,
Just,
so
like, kind of
first, do me a favor, just roll any die.
any die.
Any die.
Okay.
Okay. So as you get up there, there's like an older fellow. His beard is like tucked in. It's like long and white, and it's so long it's like tucked into this vest that he has. You can see these different flies that are attached to the vest, like he just has them hooked onto it. And you head up there, and he just kind of glances over to you. He's not doddering. He's not like that old, but he's definitely like kind of hunched. Like he spends a lot of hours hanging out here fishing. And you offered to buy a fish from him?
Mm-hmm.
You look in the bucket, and he definitely has a few. He's like, "Whoa, which would you like?"
Is there one that like maybe looks honestly like less good than the others? Like,
There's definitely one that's smaller, but they all look healthy. So,
Okay.
like, there's not a one that's like rotting or a zombie fish or anything
Right,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. She'll just like point to like a random one. Like she doesn't really care that much.
Sure.
She's like, oh, that one.
And you're gonna offer him how much?
I mean, 50 copper-ish, like a silver, kind of, like somewhere around there. Like,
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay. Yeah, she'll offer him 50 copper. Then.
Okay. Yeah, he like, do you need me to wrap it for you? And you can see he has like a, there's like a burlap sack that has these like sheets of brown paper in it.
Yeah, she'll take it wrapped. Why not?
Okay. Yeah, so he like reaches down, he puts the pole into a holder, like there's this carved out area in the stand, or the what's the word? The railing there, that he can put his pole, and he like reaches down, pulls out a sheet, slaps the fish in there,
Right.
folds it up, hands it to you.
Right. Yeah, she has the fish, and she's just gonna pocket that fish. She's gonna examine that later.
Okay. Have yourself a good night.
Now that she's done business with him, she's like, have you noticed anything weird with the fish?
Oh, we had a dead spot earlier. My son was out fishing. He said some of the other fishermen were upset that witches had come through here, but I don't know about that. Usually, if there's some kind of foul magic, it's way more destructive than what happened.
Destructive things happen often?
Not.
I thought you guys had guards.
We do have guards, and most of the time when there's things that happen, it's, newcomers to the city, or every so often there are... He just kind of looks around. There are times when people have been found stabbed to death, but it's fairly rare, since I remember when the famine kicked in and, we were all struggling for food and there were some riots during that time, but there hasn't been anything like that in, some time now.
So this isn't unusual. Like, I'd be worried if my fish are poisoned. These look just fine.
Oh, thank you. I do try to bring in the best haul I can.
It doesn't worry you then?
Yeah. If it were more widespread, I'd be more worried, but everything that I've caught and that my son caught earlier were just fine.
Does he seem like he's like he needs healing in any kind of way?
Oh, gotcha. Make a medicine check. You don't see anything that's like injury or anything like that. He just is old.
Cool.
You both do notice that he is rather talkative and welcoming, as opposed to some of the younger folk that you met earlier that are a little more superstitious.
Okay.
Yeah, we should ask directly about that.
Yeah, Lyra's like, would you mind? Do you know where the dead spot you called it?
It happens every so often.
Could you point us where that is?
Sometimes we'll just get a group that bloop up to the top, and it doesn't look like there's much wrong with them, but we're not sure why they die like that. Bless you.
Thank you.
Often it happens when there's a newcomer to town, and so those who are more want to blame someone will blame the newcomers, but I've found in my years of standing, mostly right here, that tends to not be the case. Just coincidence.
Coincidence? She kind of like looks at Lilith like she's thinking like this guy's talking like this happens not frequently but enough that he's just like
yeah. You could both either make we could call this if you're trying to tell whether or not he believes what he's saying or if he's like trying to like be honest or whatever, you could do an insight check. If you're trying to figure out what he's telling you means, let's call it just a straight intelligence check. Or wisdom. Right. It could be wisdom.
Okay. I think Lyra's gonna go with intelligence check.
I'm gonna go with wisdom.
Okay. Oh wow. Lilith's head is like bong 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 bong. So both of you were thinking, and Lyra, there's like something. It's like right there on the edge of your brain processing this information, and you're just like so close to it. And then Lilith is like, so Lilith, you totally believe him. Like he's not lying. He seems very honest, but the way he explained it, that these things, just happen to be coincidence that they have. It's more like he is a nice old man who doesn't want to think badly of anyone. And so it's probably not coincidence that when newcomers come in this area that they show up that these fish are just dying. It's probably more on purpose, but probably not on purpose by the people that show up. Almost like someone's trying to blame them. And causing things to happen. I'm out of coffee.
I know that pain.
Same.
Right. So sad. So sad.
Ask him who the leader of those superstitious people are. Like, who are the main superstitious people in town?
Well, I would say a lot of people tend to have their beliefs and their superstitions, but y- between you and me, and please don't take offense, he kind of like looks at Lyra, but there will be people that are going to judge you based on what you're wearing and the fact that, I mean, you obviously are just very tall, pointing at Lilith. But you're an elf, and it's not often that we get elves here. There are some half elves that live in the city, but it's fairly rare. My son said that there was another elf seen earlier with a bird, and birds haven't been seen round here in ages. So, I could see that the Church of Humanity would be a little on edge about things. I don't subscribe to their jumping to conclusions, though. All of us
Church
came
of
from
Humanity.
somewhere.
Hmm. How long has the Church of Humanity been in this town?
It's... I remember it from when I was young, so it's been a while.
Okay.
It's... My dad used to tell me that it sprang up after the mists appeared.
Has your dad told you if it's like a nicer church, like if it's always been the same teachings, or have the teachings changed since the mist showed up?
I've found that when they come down handing out their pamphlets, that it's often the same rhetoric, that there is no need for gods, that, you know, we as mortals can be our own light in the darkness, that we don't need the deities that used to answer our calls. And they tend to just be a little more on edge. They don't preach about being rude to strangers or outsiders, but I found that unless they are... Unless they tend to be a little more easy to fit in here, that they can get some weird looks from time to time.
Do they try and get new members often? Do they come down and try and convert people to be members?
I feel like it was more often in my younger days, but now with the famine and so many people gone, there's no one to really convince anymore.
Oh, oh. I'm gonna just lay my hand on him and
Oh, thank you, thank you.
what a sweet old guy. And look at Lyra like, oh, what a
Right?
sweet guy. Should...
Oh,
Yeah.
did I just hear my dog bark?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Lilith, roll any die.
Die. Any die. Let's do that die.
Okay. As you're standing there, his pole, his fishing pole that's like just stuck in the railing, it just goes and like bends super far. He's like, oh, and he grabs it real quick and begins reeling it in. He's fighting something, and he reels it in, and as he manages to bring it out of the water, there is an enormous fish attached to it. Bigger than anything you've seen caught so far while you've been down at the docks, both earlier today and tonight. And he manages to like bring it in. He can't quite get it over the railing. It's so large, and he can't quite reach up that high. Yeah, you just...
Yeah, Lyra's gonna reach to help too.
Totally, yeah. The two of you help him bring it in, and his eyes just go wide. He's like, I don't think anyone has caught a sturgeon this large in years. Obviously, outsiders aren't a bad sign. Thank you. And he begins like removing the hook from it, and he's like trying to figure out where to put it because the bucket obviously isn't big enough. But there's like the deck that he's on, the bottom part of it's built so that if you drop your fish, it doesn't go flopping back into the water. So it doesn't seem like he's going to have too much issue here.
Oh, what a sweet old guy. All right.
Lyra's gonna thank him, and then also, when he's like, it seems like outsiders aren't bad news. She's like, if you could let the others know, that would be appreciated.
Yeah.
And she is actually, now this does not happen often. She's just gonna stick her hand out. She's gonna go, Lyra.
Oh, fuck! I don't have a name ready. Hang on.
When your players introduce themselves to the random NPC.
Yeah.
And I can't seem to think of a
Henry.
Henry, thank you. I was like, I can't even think of a normal name that I'm not seeing on the screen right now. I'm Henry.
Oh, Henry is so sweet. Lilith is gonna lean down and say, bow and say, it is an absolute pleasure to meet you, Henry.
Oh, no. I thank you for your help bringing the fish over. Did you see this? And you look over, and Lyra and Lilith, you actually notice there's another guy that is standing on the dock next to you that is like just kind of staring. And he waves as everyone looks at him, and he's like, I haven't seen a fish like that, and I don't think I've ever seen a fish like that. Yeah, they helped me bring it in.
I think Lilith is going to kind of wink and say, sometimes people are out, or sometimes there's a higher being that's listening, and wink, and then just kind of like back off and walk off.
Oh,
Lyra,
I mean,
Lyra
not in
starts to
years,
walk-
but... What's that?
Yeah. Ooh, that's telling. Okay, sorry. Lyra's gonna start to great, thank you. She's gonna start, and then she's gonna go back, and she's gonna kind of bend down to help him secure the fish, but near and next to him. And as she does, she's gonna say, Henry, one more thing. Do you know that gentleman leaning against the door over there? And kind of nod her head a little bit to the now non-bearded guy.
What gentleman?
But is he gone?
You look back, he's not there.
Okay, great. Lyra just goes, never mind. And then she's gonna go, reddish hair, beard, no beard. Likes to hang out in dark doorways.
I mean, we don't have a bunch of men with red hair, but I mean, that could be several people. That's just the dock workers that I know.
Okay. And she's just like, no worries. She's unbothered. She's like, great, no worries.
Well, thank you again, and feel free to stop by any evening. You're like my lucky charm now.
Oh, sweetheart.
Ironically, Lyra hates children, but she's okay with old people.
I mean...
Yeah.
So, meanwhile, Twiggy, you go flapping up to the top of the wall. A bell begins ringing below you. Dizzy, you see them, two of them go into the guardhouse and come back out with crossbows. The other one that's just standing there with the banner is just shaking his head. And then there's the fourth one that seemed convinced that Twiggy was some kind of demon or familiar that you were going to have eat him or something. And he shakily takes his sword out, and he's looking at you and looking up at Twiggy. What are you doing there, Dizzy?
I'm gonna see if I can sneak, I guess, while they're focused on Twiggy, to see if I can also climb over the wall.
Gotcha. There is one that's looking at you, so it would be difficult to sneak away. But if you can find a way to distract him or get him to look away, maybe you could. What would you do?
How far away is Twiggy?
Twiggy, what's your fly speed? Is it 30?
I think it's 30, yeah.
Okay. So he is nearing the top of the wall, which is about 20 feet up.
Okay. I am going to, I guess, cast Dancing Lights and make them follow Twiggy.
Okay. Do me a favor and roll a deception check. Nice. As the lights spring into existence, they are so abrupt that the person who was looking at you didn't really notice you casting the spell, and they look up and put his sword up. What is that? Will-o-wisps! We're doomed! Do you want to try and stealth away?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a stealth check.
Oh.
Oh, jeez. Everyone's just staring upwards, like the bannerman, like his kind of like even his the pole he's holding has kind of like started leaning out because he's just like staring off, and he ends up just dropping it. And he's like trying to figure out what the lights are doing. And you sneak off. Are you gonna like sneak over to the wall and try and climb up it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I need an athletics check to try and climb the wall. It is going to be fairly difficult because it's not a. It's more like, you know, set stone as opposed to like cobbled rock
Right.
and such. You're just having a hard time finding a handhold, but like where you are, you can kind of see like part of one of the people that's standing because there's those columns. So you're actually hidden from their sight unless they come around that column. So is there anything that you can think of to try and get over this wall besides climbing it?
I don't think I have any rope, so
Okay. So while you're doing that, Twiggy has like reached the top of the wall. Twiggy, you see like there is a where the gate is. There's like a I can't think of what it's called, but it's like the part that's built over the gate, and there is a walkway that goes through it, and you can see that there are people on that like on the walkway, and the crenellations like they could go and like look down through them, so it's tall enough for them to be mostly hidden from the ground, but they could go to like an open spot and look down. And you notice that there are a couple of people that are heading towards the gate, like they're running, they have their swords out. And do you continue?
Well, they're about to open the gate for me, but I am running my checklist just to make sure that I haven't broken the right myself. They did invite me to open it myself, which is what I'm working on doing now. And technically, I'm not crossing the door by going over the door. And if I open the door on the other side, that means this place is mine. I am in the clear. Yeah, I'm gonna, I guess, kind of hover a little bit and just wait to watch them open the door for me.
As you look down, there are these like lights moving around below you, and they're shouting, and one of them is kind of waving their sword in the air, and the bannerman has dropped the banner. But you do notice two of them come out, and even though they are fairly put off by these lights that are moving around, you notice that they're raising crossbows in your direction. At you, at the lights, you're not really sure.
I must warn you that you are on the verge of failure. I
Okay.
will give you another chance,
Excuse me.
for I am generous with my time and presence. Open the door.
Open the
Where's
door.
Where is my cake?
All right. So this is going to say spear when I roll it. Just imagine it says crossbow.
Fair enough.
Does a 9 or a 4 hit you?
No.
Okay. So you see them shoot, and they seem to just kind of be shooting at the lights. One bolt goes like close-ish to you, but you were never in danger from it. They definitely fired in your direction, though.
Cursed. Do I clock Dizzy? Is he with
You
invisible
do
sight?
not. He is blocked by. You do not see him, but I will tell John that you can't see him because he is blocked by a physical feature, like the wall and columns are in the way of you seeing him.
I am going to assume that means either he got through the door, or he's looking for a way into the door, or he's going to go get help because they're going to need it. Yeah, because that's the rule. That's the law. Like I don't write the rules. All right. So I will buy him a little bit of time. And kind of I guess enjoy these lights. You know, this wonderful display of my awesome power. Clearly, yeah.
Okay.
I'm a wizard, and I am the most powerful wizard they have ever laid their eyes upon. You're welcome.
So as you're kind of hovering there and you're, bathing in the grandeur of these lights that are like lighting you up and everything, and showing off your wizardry, you do notice that there are 2 guards heading from the right and 1 heading from the left on top of the wall, and they both look at the lights, and there's just like this uncertainty in their face. One of them looks like he's terrified, but they all lean their swords against the crenellations and swing around crossbows. As they're getting them ready, what do you do?
You both have an opportunity to change course. I'm being generous today, lads.
It speaks! That thing speaks! What is it? Dizzy, you hear all of this happening. What are you doing?
I'm going to try to climb the wall again.
Okay. Make a, let's do a perception check. Maybe you can find an area that's gonna give you a easier. No, it all looks pretty much the same.
Nope.
Yeah, it's fairly flush. You get the feeling like this was like white granite or marble or something, but it has this like patina of age and grime and stuff on it, so it makes it almost look gray. And looking for seams or places to fit your fingers or to like kind of get a leverage to push yourself up, you just don't see anything. Is there anything else you'd like to try?
Is there I guess does the pillar, does it look the same? Like, does it have any, I guess, footholds, or is it just a straight pillar?
It does look the same, like it's made of the same material, and like the blocks are like rounded on the sides, and so it's not seamless, but the seams are pretty compact and like difficult to if there's anything that you've seen well built in this town, this wall definitely is one of them.
All right, I'm gonna see if I can find another way to get over the wall.
Okay. So you want to head off like along the wall?
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
And you want to keep out of sight of anybody, correct?
Oh yeah.
So let's have you roll a stealth check. Excellent. You like head off into the darkness. You notice that there are torches and lanterns that are like up on top, like you can see the glow coming off, but there isn't really much in the way of light down at the base where you are, and you just head off and you don't hear anybody shout in alarm or anything like that. One moment, I just gotta check the map real quick to make sure I know where you're going. As you're heading along, you essentially see there was that district that you went through that had like the larger buildings that were like businesses and stuff like that. Not the industrial area that's across the river. You're essentially have that on your left side and the wall on your right side as you're moving through. Up ahead, there is a courtyard that is fairly well lit. You can see that there are some statues that are set out in the courtyard and a fountain. The fountain isn't... It's on, like there's water coming out of it, but it's just kind of like dribbling instead of like spraying. It grants you a little bit of cover as far as noise goes. Like it's a little bit of a for you to move silently through that area. But you're going to have to figure out, there are people moving around, how to move along the wall without being seen. You can either just try and like dash through, or you could try to go around through that district and avoid the courtyard. Or you could just walk through.
I will, I guess, avoid the courtyard.
Okay. So you duck down an alley or a street. At this point, you're not even sure what constitute what in this town because everything is so squished in together, but you duck down and head around the courtyard. While that's happening, Twiggy, two of the guards on top have managed to get their crossbows loaded and are aiming at your direction. Whether they're aiming at you or the lights that are around you is a good question. And the two at the bottom also have loaded theirs. There's the one that was afraid of you that's like just kind of fumbling. He can't quite get the crossbow to like keep the cord pulled back, and it just twangs before he even loads it. The two on the ground are going to roll a disadvantage, but the two on top are not. So we'll do the ground ones first.
Okay.
So we got a 14 and an 8.
I don't remember what AC is. My AC is 17.
Okay, so both of them go wildly by, and the two on top also take a shot at you. An 11 and a 6. Looks like they're just firing into the miasma of light and orbs that are floating around in your general vicinity. What do you do?
Are they not opening the door yet?
They are not opening the door. They're shouting an alarm. There's a bell ringing.
Well, looks like we're going to have to continue running interference until they open the door or figure this out. Or the curse finally sets in. I'm going to pull out my bagpipes. I'm going to play the song of my people. And I'm just going to start making my way over the wall.
Okay.
And into the greater space. Lights. Poorly played bagpipes.
Does your bagpipe playing have an effect, or is it just you playing the bagpipes?
It's just bagpipes, man.
Well, why don't we do a performance check?
All right. Hopefully it's super epic. Bagpipes, tools. Where do I roll bagpipe?
Oh, you're in. I was gonna say you should just be able to click on the tool proficiency, but it's you're not in Roll20.
Yeah, we've got characters in D&D Beyond.
Just roll a performance check. Just the skill.
Performance.
Are you you aren't proficient in the bagpipes, correct?
It comes with my background, I think.
Oh, okay.
So
So then we would add your.
Charisma.
but I'm not
Oh.
proficient in. I'm not proficient in performance. I don't know why
No,
I
no,
did
that's
that.
that's fine since you're proficient in the. So we'll add.
So John, up
2?
top by your, up top by
Yeah,
your
2.
walking speed and stuff, you have your proficiency bonus. So
So we're gonna add
Well, I know
2.
it's
that.
I know it's 2 because of the level, but just
Cool.
Yeah.
Can I beat proficiency in bagpipes if I'm not proficient in performance?
Totally.
Okay.
Right. And so we'll add 2 to the roll, which makes it a 6. It's
Just
terrible.
what I wanted. Yes.
terrible.
Everybody,
To
look
you,
at this.
it sounds however you want it to sound. However, to them, they're like, "Is that Krisha dying? What is that horrible noise? Oh, it's calling its friends from hell! Ah!"
I mean.
And as you go floating over the guard tower and the gate and the wall, playing this horrid noise, and everyone's screeching, and Dizzy's, making his way through the darkness, and Lilith and Lyra are looking at Henry, who is such a nice old man. We will end this session for this week. I'm really curious to see how Twiggy's adventure turns. I'm really interested to see how it all turns out, but I feel like what's going on with Twiggy is going to end up being like one of those urban tales that lasts for decades. The night that the screeching banshee invaded the castle or something.
It's called making a distraction.
Right?
The best distraction possible. Best distraction possible.
Well, it worked because, as far as you know, Dizzy totally made it to the other side.
Yeah.
Now all they have to do is open the door.
Right?
God.
But if they made it to the other side, why do they have to open the door?
I mean, details. There's plenty of them. Plenty of them is fine.
It's part of the right.
Part of the rights.
Well, everybody, thanks for watching today. If you're not watching live, well, you should on Wednesdays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Sorry, it's been a couple moments since I said it and I couldn't remember. If you're watching live, I hope you join us next week. Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel, and we will see you then. Bye.